So Antigravity made a nice set of web pages and linked them together. But they're hosted locally just on your machine. That setup won't support a video game that anybody can play. And if we don't have that video game, then we're never getting out of here.
You're right. That's why we need Firebase, Google's app development platform. Firebase can give us the 3 services we need to support our video game. It provides that online hosting. It also offers a database to support our leaderboard. And it provides authentication, so players can enter their scores into that leaderboard.
Well, sounds like it does a bit of everything. Can it make me a space latte?
Firebase can't do that yet. But for app development, absolutely. It does a bit of everything. So to get started, I'll go to console.firebase.google.com and I'll create a new project called AGY Sandbox. I'll click through and accept the project creation defaults.
Okay, so we need 3 things from Firebase: storage, authentication, and hosting. Should we create a database first?
Yes, I'll go to Database and Storage, and then Firestore to create it. I'll choose Standard Edition, leave the default ID and location, and I'll have it start in test mode so anyone can view the leaderboard data.
Okay, nice. Our database is set up. Let's set up authentication so people can submit their scores.
For that, I'll go to Security and then Authentication. I'm going to choose Anonymous.
Why anonymous?
We want people to interact with the game and leaderboard without having to log in.
Got it. So we've got anonymous authentication and the database set up, but we don't actually have anything connecting Firebase to our app.
No, let's fix that now by setting up a web app in Firebase. I'll give the app the nickname of Voyager, and I'm going to leave this box unchecked to set up Firebase hosting.
Is this because we'll set it up in Antigravity?
That's right. So now I'll copy this project ID from Firebase and use it in this prompt that asks Antigravity to initialize this project folder with Firebase.
It looks like it's starting to cook, but now it's asking to install the latest version of Firebase. Don't we already have that?
Yeah, so we'll just tell it that and decline its offer. And it's asking for permission to do something we don't need, so we'll tell it no again.
Okay, now it seems to be on track, doing what's needed and checking in with us first.
Yeah, so we'll just keep allowing it to do what it needs, and we should get an implementation plan.
Right on cue.
Almost everything looks good with it, but I'll tell it not to adjust the source code because we're setting up services for a game we haven't built yet.
That's cool, you can make adjustments on pieces of the implementation plan directly within it.
Exactly. Now it will cook a little bit longer and give us a URL to our new Firebase hosted web app.
It's working.
Just like our locally hosted web app.
Right on. Okay, so we've enabled our 3 services. Now let's build this game and get out of here.
It'll take us 5 minutes. Just watch.